Bebop. A type of jazz characterized by complex harmony and rhythms. Bitumen. A black sticky substance obtained naturally or from petroleum, used for road surfacing. Buzzard. A large bird of prey that soars in wide circles. Bygone. Belonging to an earlier time. Carbine. A light automatic rifle. Commensurate. Corresponding in size or degree, in proportion. Contaminate. Pollute something by exposing it to or adding a substance that is poisonous or carries disease. Corsair. Old use of pirate. Crescendo. OL. Dauphin. Historical, the eldest son of a king of France. Deformity. 4. Dinghy. A small open boat for recreation or racing. Dipper. A songbird that dives into fast-flowing streams to feed. Disobey. Fail or refuse to obey an order, rule, or person in authority. Diverge. Of a road or route, separate from another route and go in a different direction. Doughty. Brave and determined. Downpour. A heavy fall of rain. Drifter. A person who is continually moving from place to place, without any fixed home or job. Dusky. Dark or soft in color. Dystrophy. A disorder in which an organ or tissue of the body wastes away. Eloquence. Fluent or persuasive speaking or writing. Enslave. Make someone a slave. Epitaph. Words written in memory of. A person who has died, especially as an inscription on a tombstone. Excrement. Waste matter emptied from the bowels, feces. Expedient. Convenient and practical, although not always fair or right. Fallow. A farmland, plowed but left for a period of time without being planted with crops. Fen. A low and marshy or frequently flooded area of land. Fiddler. Informal, a person who plays the violin. Foal. A young horse or related animal. Forlorn. Pitifully sad and lonely. Fragmentary. Consisting of small disconnected or incomplete parts. Gab. Informal talk at length. Gaudy. Tastelessly bright or showy. Gauss. A unit of magnetic flux density, equal to 1/10,000th of a Tesla. Girly. Plural, girlies, informal, a girl or young woman. Gobble. Eat hurriedly and noisily. Godspeed. Dated, an expression of good wishes to a person starting a journey. Grandparent. A grandmother or grandfather. Grout. A mortar or paste for filling crevices, especially the gaps between wall or floor tiles. Gush. Flow in a strong, fast stream. Haddock. A silvery gray edible fish of North Atlantic coastal waters. Halogen. Any of the non-metallic chemical elements fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and astatine. Harpoon. A barbed spear-like missile attached to a long rope and thrown by hand or fired from a gun, used for catching whales and other large sea creatures. Hazmat. Dangerous substances, hazardous material. Highlighter. A broad felt-tipped pen used to overlay transparent fluorescent color on a part of a text or illustration. Hydrology. The branch of science concerned with the properties and distribution of water on the Earth's surface. Hypoxia. A situation in which not enough oxygen reaches the body tissues. Ibis. A large wading bird with a long down-curved bill, a long neck, and long legs. Indecisive. Not able to make decisions quickly. Indefensible. Not able to be justified or defended. Indivisible. Unable to be divided or separated. Industrialist. A person who owns or controls a manufacturing business. Ineffectual. Not producing any or the desired effect. Ingest. Take food or drink into the body by swallowing or absorbing it. Innermost. Furthest in, closest to the center. Insoluble. Impossible to solve. Insulate. Place material between one thing and another to prevent loss of heat or intrusion of sound. Introverted. Relating to an introvert. Jah. The Rastafarian name for God. Jewel. A precious stone. Katana. A long, single-edged sword used by samurai. Keyhole. A hole in a lock into which the key is inserted. Margarine. A butter substitute made from vegetable oils or animal fats. Mashup. A recording created by digitally combining and synchronizing instrumental tracks with vocal tracks from two or more different songs. Melanin. A dark pigment in the hair and skin, responsible for tanning of skin exposed to sunlight. Musty. Having a stale or moldy smell or taste. Neurotransmitter. A chemical substance released from a nerve fiber and bringing about the transfer of an impulse to another nerve, muscle, etc. Nourishing. Containing substances necessary for growth and health. Outlay. An amount of money spent. Overblown. Made to seem more important or impressive than is really the case. Overestimate. Estimate as better or greater than in reality. Oxytocin. A hormone released by the pituitary gland that in women causes contraction of the uterus during labor and stimulates the flow of milk into the breasts. Pathos. A quality that arouses pity or sadness. Pimple. A small hard inflamed spot on the skin. Potable. Formal, especially of water, safe to drink. Pout. Push one's lips forward as an expression of sulky annoyance or in order to make oneself look sexually attractive. Predominantly. Mainly, for the most part. Psychoactive. Affecting the mind. Punctual. Happening at or keeping to the arranged time. Quadrangle. A square or rectangular courtyard enclosed by buildings. Raceway. A racetrack. Reaffirm. State something again. Re-entry. The action or process of re-entering. Rephrase. Express something in an alternative way. Retrofit. Fit something with a component or accessory not fitted during manufacture. Sci-fi. Informal short for S.C. Ellen's fiction. Scriptural. Relating to the Bible. Seedy. Sordid or immoral. Shawnee. A member of an American Indian people now living chiefly in Oklahoma. Sleet. Rain containing some ice, or snow melting as it falls. Slugger. A person who throws hard punches. Sorghum. A cereal native to warm regions, grown for grain and animal feed. Spacetime. Physics. The concepts of time and three-dimensional space regarded as forming a four-dimensional continuum. Spasm. A sudden and uncontrollable tightening of a muscle. Spearhead. Lead a campaign, activity, or attack. Squeal. Make a long, high-pitched cry or noise. Squish. Make a soft squelching sound. Steppe. A large area of flat grassland without trees in SE Europe or Siberia. Stunner. Informal. A strikingly beautiful or impressive person or thing. Subcutaneous. Situated or applied under the skin. Subservient. Too ready to obey other people. Substantiate. Provide evidence to prove that something is true. Swab. An absorbent pad used for cleaning wounds or taking a sample from the body for testing. Swordsman. A man who fights with a sword. Tattered. Old and torn. Technicality. One. A small formal detail within a set of rules, as contrasted with the intent or purpose of the rules. Terracotta. Brownish red earthenware that has not been glazed. Testicle. Either of the two oval organs that produce sperm in male mammals, enclosed in the scrotum behind the penis. Thickening. A thicker area or part. Thrush. A small or medium-sized songbird with a brown back and spotted breast. Tinge. Color something slightly. Tinnitus. Medicine ringing or buzzing in the ears. Trample. Tread on something and crush it. Tropic. The line of latitude 23° 26' north. Tux. Informal. A tuxedo. Uncomplicated. Simple or straightforward. Unconnected. Not joined together or to something else. Underweight. Below a weight considered normal or desirable. Undetectable. not able to be detected. Unprovoked, not directly provoked. Unremarkable, not particularly interesting or surprising. Untrustworthy, unable to be trusted. Volition, a person's power to choose freely and make their own decisions. Wane of the moon appear to become smaller each day as a result of having a decreasing area of its surface illuminated by the sun. Whittle, form a piece of wood into an object by repeatedly cutting small slices from it. Wretch, an unfortunate person. Accolade, something given as a special honor or as a reward for excellence. Addy, informal an address, especially an email address. Alfalfa, a plant with clover-like leaves and bluish flowers, grown in warm climates for fodder. Appellant, law, a person who appeals to a higher court to reverse the decision of a lower court. Atelier, a workshop or studio used by an artist or designer. Baguette, a long, narrow loaf of French bread. Bioinformatics, the science of collecting and analyzing complex biological data such as genetic codes. Breastfeed, feed a baby with milk from the breast. Brimstone, a large bright yellow or greenish-white butterfly. Bunt, baseball of a batter, gently tap a pitched ball without swinging in an attempt to make it more difficult to field. Burly, of a person, large and strong. Carbonated, containing dissolved carbon dioxide and therefore fizzy. Carburetor, a device in an internal combustion engine for mixing air with a fine spray of liquid fuel. Caving, another term for spelunking. Chlamydia, a very small parasitic bacterium that can cause various diseases. Cobbler, a person whose job is mending shoes. Conceit, excessive pride in oneself. Concubine, chiefly historical, in societies in which a man may have more than one wife. Concupiscence, a woman who lives with a man but has lower status than his wife or wives. Confounded, informal, dated, used to express annoyance. Constrain, force someone to do something. Contraption, a machine or device that appears strange or unnecessarily complicated. Covet, long to possess something belonging to someone else. Dingy, gloomy and drab. Droppings, the excrement of animals. Eocene, geology relating to the second epoch of the Tertiary period, 56.5 to 35.4 million years ago, when the first horses and whales appeared. Esprit, liveliness. Ethnography, the scientific description of peoples and cultures. Eunuch, a man who has been castrated. Exclaim, cry out suddenly, especially in surprise, anger, or pain. Extort, obtain something by force, threats, or other unfair means. falter, lose strength or momentum. Fantasize, daydream about desirable but unlikely situations or events. Feverish, having or showing the symptoms of a fever. Fissure, a long, narrow crack. Fizzy, of a drink containing bubbles of gas. Forcible, done by force. Frenzied, wildly excited or uncontrolled. Freudian, relating to or influenced by the Austrian psychotherapist Sigmund Freud and his methods of psychoanalysis. Frightful, very unpleasant, serious, or shocking. Gat, informal, dated a revolver or pistol. Gourd, the large hard-skinned fleshy fruit of a climbing or trailing plant. Halter, a rope or strap placed around the head of an animal and used to lead or tether it. Hawker, a person who travels around selling goods. Historiography, the study of the writing of history and of written histories. Houdini, a person skilled at escaping from difficult situations. Icebreaker, a ship designed for breaking a channel through ice. Idolatry, the practice of worshipping statues or pictures of a god or gods. Indelible, unable to be forgotten. Infantile, relating to or affecting babies and very young children. Infuse, fill something with a quality. Interplanetary, situated or traveling between planets. Irreverent, disrespectful. Isthmus, a narrow strip of land with sea on either side, linking two larger areas of land. Itinerant, traveling from place to place. Luftwaffe, the German Air Force until the end of World War II. Lymphatic, relating to lymph or its production. Malleable, able to be hammered or pressed into shape without breaking or cracking. Manta, a very large ray, fish of tropical seas. Marquis, a British nobleman ranking above an earl and below a duke. Matinee, an afternoon performance in. Mercurial, tending to change mood suddenly. Middling, moderate or average. Mores, the customs and conventions of a community. Multimillion, consisting of several million of a currency. Nicaraguan, a person from Nicaragua in Central America. Outpouring, something that. Overreact, react to something more strongly or emotionally than is justified. Parson, dated, informal, any member of the clergy, especially a Protestant one. Peregrine, a powerful falcon with a bluish-gray back and wings and pale underparts. Personification, a person who represents or embodies a quality or concept. Piecemeal, and adverb done in stages over a period of time. Piglet. A young pig. Playmate. A friend with whom a child plays. Poetics. The study of linguistic techniques in poetry and literature. Pogo. Informal jump up and down as if on a pogo stick as a form of dancing to rock music. Popsicle. Trademark a piece of flavored ice on a stick. Presumptive. Presumed in the absence of further information. Pori. In Indian cooking, a small, round piece of unleavened bread that puffs up when deep fried. Racy. Lively or exciting, especially in a sexual way. Raucous. Of a sound, loud and harsh. Receivable. Able to be received. Repress. Use force to control or stop. Respectability. The state or quality of being proper, correct, and socially acceptable. Sanctum. A sacred or holy place. Scrolled. Having an ornamental design or carving resembling a scroll. Sequoia. A redwood tree, especially the California redwood. Serrano. A small, red or yellow, very hot chili that is used fresh or dried in Mexican cooking. Serrated. Having a jagged edge like the teeth of a saw. Shunt. Slowly push or pull a railroad vehicle or vehicles from one set of tracks to another. Spaniel. A breed of dog with a long, silky coat and drooping ears. Stagger. Walk or move unsteadily, as if about to fall. Steely. Resembling steel in color, brightness, or strength. Stent. Medicine when a tubular support placed temporarily inside a blood vessel, canal, or duct to aid healing or relieve an obstruction. Subtext. An underlying theme in a speech or piece of writing. Surety. A person who accepts responsibility if another person fails to pay a debt, appear in court, etc. Sweatpants. Loose, warm trousers with an elastic or drawstring waist, worn for exercise or leisure. Talkie. Informal, a movie with a soundtrack, as distinct from a silent movie. Unassuming. Not wanting to draw attention to oneself or one's abilities. Undersecretary. In the U.S., the chief assistant to a member of the cabinet. Unintelligible. Impossible to understand. Unorganized. Not organized. Verity. A true principle or belief. Woodpecker. A bird with a strong bill and a stiff tail, typically pecking at tree trunks to find insects. Zigzag. A line or course having sharp alternate right and left turns. Abscess. A swelling on the skin or in the body, containing pus. Absorbent. Able to soak up high iod easily. Acrobatic. Involving or performing spectacular gymnastic feats. Acuity. Keenness of thought, vision, or hearing. Afrikaans. A language derived from Dutch, one of the official languages of South Africa. Agate. A semi-precious variety of quartz with a striped appearance. Airstrip. A strip of ground for the takeoff and landing of aircraft. Alkyl. Chemistry: a hydrocarbon radical derived from an alkane by removal of a hydrogen atom. Antiquarian. Relating to the collection or study of antiques, rare books, or antiquities. Antiseptic. Preventing the growth of microorganisms that cause disease or infection. Arbitrage. The buying and selling of assets at the same time in different markets or in derivative forms, taking advantage of the differing prices. Archduke. A chief duke. Ascetic. Strictly self-disciplined and avoiding any pleasures or luxuries. Aster. A garden plant of the daisy family, typically having purple or pink flowers. Australasian. Relating to Australasia, a region made up of Australia, New Zealand, and islands of the SW Pacific. Avionics. Electronics used in aviation. Banshee. A female spirit whose wailing warns of an impending death in a house. Beastie. Beasties, Scottish or humorous: a small animal or insect. Beholden. Owing a debt of thanks to someone in return for a favor. Bolivar. The basic unit of money of Venezuela. Brahmin. Also Brahmin/min/, a member of the highest Hindu caste, that of the priesthood. Brahmin. Variant spelling of Brahman, sense 1. Bubblegum. Chewing gum that can be blown into bubbles. Burg. Informal: a town or city. Canto. One of the sections into which some long poems are divided. Canvass. Visit someone to seek their vote in an election. Cashback. A service offered by a store by which a customer may withdraw cash when buying goods with a debit card. Cathartic. Providing psychological relief through the expression of strong but previously repressed emotions. Centrifuge. A machine with a rapidly rotating container, used to separate liquids from solids. Ciao. Informal hello or goodbye. Citywide. An adverb extending throughout a city. Comanche. A member of an American Indian people of the southwestern U.S. Comatose. Relating to or in a state of coma. Comforter. A warm quilt. Commissary. A restaurant or food store in a military base or other institution. Conclave. A private meeting. Conspire. Jointly make secret plans to commit a wrongful act. Consternation. A feeling of anxiety or dismay. Cornet. A brass instrument resembling a trumpet but shorter and wider. Crawler. Computing: a program that searches the World Wide Web, typically in order to create an index of data. Cynic. A person who believes that people are motivated purely by self-interest. Demon. Old-fashioned spelling of demon. Dampen. Make something damp. Defensible. Able to be justified by reasoning or argument. Descriptor. A word or expression used to describe or identify something. Diehard. A person who strongly supports something in spite of opposition or changing circumstances. Dipole. Physics: a pair of equal and oppositely charged or magnetized poles separated by a distance. Disinfectant. A chemical liquid that destroys bacteria. Dissipation. Dissipated living. Divider. A screen or piece of furniture that divides a room into two separate parts. DTS. Informal delirium tremens. Dynamism. The quality of being full of energy, vigor, or enthusiasm. Effigy. A sculpture or model of a person. Entomology. The branch of zoology concerned with the study of insects. Everyman. An ordinary or typical person. Excepting. Except for, apart from. Figurehead. A person who is leader in name only, lacking real power. Flowered. Decorated with patterns of flowers. Flume. An artificial channel for water. Flyover. A low flight by one or more aircraft over a specific location. Gallbladder. A small sac-shaped organ beneath the liver, in which bile is stored. Gigabit. A unit of information 548 gilt stored in a computer equal to 1 billion, 10 degrees, or, strictly, 2-inch bits. Girdle. A belt or cord worn around the waist. Glut. An excessively abundant supply. Godless. Not believing in a god or god. Gripe. Informal complain or grumble. Gruff. Of a person's voice, rough and lowy in pitch. Hark. Literary listen. Hatchery. An establishment where fish or poultry eggs are hatched. Haystack. A large packed pile of hay. Helical. Having the shape or form of a helix, spiral. Hookah. An oriental tobacco pipe with a long, flexible tube that draws the smoke through water in a bowl. Humpback. Also humpback whale, a baleen whale that has a hump and long white flippers. Igneous. Geology, of rock, formed when molten rock cools and solidifies. Imperfection. A fault, blemish, or undesirable feature. Incredulous. Unwilling or unable to believe something. Intrude. Enter a place or situation where one is unwelcome or uninvited. Jeweler. A person who makes or sells jewelry. Jumble. An untidy collection of things. Lengthen. Make or become longer. Liqueur. A strong, sweet-flavored alcoholic liquor. Locksmith. A person who makes and repairs locks. Mallard. A wild duck, the male of which has a dark green head and white collar. Mariachi. A musician performing traditional Mexican folk music. Metabolite. A substance formed in or necessary for metabolism. Mezzanine. A low story between two others, typically between the ground and second floors of a building. Midlife. The central period of a person's life, between around 45 and 60 years old. Mistletoe. A plant that grows as a 829 mite parasite on trees and bears white berries in winter. Monetize. Convert something into currency. Monolith. A large single upright block of stone, especially a pillar or monument. Mumps. An infectious disease spread by a virus, causing swelling of the salivary glands at the sides of the face. Nudist. A person who goes naked wherever possible. Ortho. Straight, rectangular, upright. Outlast. Last longer than. Pawnee. A member of an American Indian Confederacy now living mainly in Oklahoma. Potash. An alkaline potassium compound, used especially in making fertilizers. Presentable. Clean, well-dressed, or decent enough to be seen in public. Protectionism. The theory or practice of shielding a country's own industries from foreign competition by taxing imports. Radiocarbon. A radioactive isotope of carbon used in carbon dating. Raunchy. Informal, earthy, and sexually explicit. Reshuffle. Change around the positions of members of a team, especially government officials. Salve. An ointment used to help the skin to heal. Sanatorium. Another term for sanitarium. Scaly. Covered in scales. Scold. Angrily tell someone that they have done something wrong. Smudge. Make or become blurred or smeared. Surfboard. A long, narrow board used in surfing. Swatch. A piece of fabric used as a sample. Switchboard. A device for routing telephone calls within an organization. Synthesizer. An electronic musical instrument that produces sounds by generating and combining signals of different frequencies. Teflon. Trademark, a tough synthetic resin used to make seals and bearings and to coat nonstick cooking utensils. Toothpick. A short pointed piece of wood or plastic used for removing bits of food stuck between the teeth. Unwieldy. Hard to move or manage because of its size, shape, or weight. Urinate. Pass urine from the body. Urology. The branch of medicine concerned with the urinary system. Vexed. Of an issue, difficult to resolve and causing much debate. Viennese. A person from Vienna. Whitewash. 14. A solution of lime or chalk and water, used for painting walls white. Wingspan. The full extent from tip to tip of the wings of an aircraft, bird, etc. Wristband. A band worn around the wrist, especially for identity purposes or to soak up sweat when playing sports. Admittance. The process of entering or the fact of being allowed to enter. Aggravate. Make worse. Airbase. A base for military aircraft. Alpaca. A long-haired domesticated South American mammal related to the llama. Amphitheater. A round building without a roof, in which tiers of seats surround a central space used for performing plays or for sports. Arboretum. A botanical garden devoted to trees. Archivist. A person who is in charge of archives. Argent. And noun literary and heraldry silver. Beaker. A cylindrical glass container used in laboratories. Bereft. Bereft of, deprived of or lacking. Bezel. A groove holding a gemstone or the glass cover of a watch in position. Bicentennial. The 200th anniversary of an event. Blameless. Free from responsibility for any bad or unfortunate act, situation, or occurrence. Blindfold. A piece of cloth tied around the head to cover someone's eyes. Bobcat. A small North American lynx with a striped and spotted coat and a short tail. Bravado. Confidence or a show of confidence that is intended to impress. Buffoon. A ridiculous but amusing person. Bullseye. The center of the target in sports such as archery and darts. Candor. The quality of being open and honest. Cassava. The starchy root of a tropical American tree, used as food. Cellulite. Fat that accumulates under the skin, causing a dimpled effect. Chaste. Refraining from all sex, or from sex outside marriage. Communicable. Able to be communicated to others. Compatriot. A fellow citizen or national of a country. Cossack. A member of a people of southern Russia, Ukraine, and Siberia, noted for their horsemanship and military skill. Craps. A gambling game played with 2 dice. Creatine. A compound formed in protein metabolism and involved in the supply of energy for contraction of the muscles. Crick. A painful stiff feeling in the neck or back. Cipher. Variant spelling of CRP her. Derision. Contemptuous ridicule or mockery. Destabilize. Upset the stability of something. Dollhouse. A miniature toy house for dolls. Dramatist. A person who writes plays. Dressage. The art of training horses to perform a set of controlled movements at the rider's command. Dysentery. A disease in which the 398 dystrophy intestines are infected, resulting in severe diarrhea. Fillet. And verb variant spelling of fillet in all culinary senses. Flipper. A broad, flat limb without fingers, used for swimming by sea animals such as seals and turtles. Follicle. A small cavity in the body, especially one in which the root of a hair develops. Furlong. An eighth of a mile. Geyser. A hot spring in which water intermittently boils, sending a tall column of water and steam into the air. Gibbon. A small ape with long, powerful arms, native to the forests of Asia. Gimp. Informal, often offensive for a physically handicapped person. Goody. Variant spelling of goopy. Grumble. Complain in a bad-tempered but muted way. Hairspray. A solution sprayed on hair to keep it in place. Hardback. A book bound in stiff covers. Healthful. Good for one's health. Hearse. A vehicle for carrying the coffin at a funeral. Herbicide. A poisonous substance used to destroy unwanted plants. Homemaker. A person who manages a home. Hyena. A dog-like carnivorous African mammal with an erect mane. Inclement. Unpleasantly cold or wet. Iridescent. Showing bright colors that seem to change when seen from different angles. Kata. A system of individual training exercises for practitioners of karate and other martial arts. Kilowatt. 1. Laborious. Requiring considerable time and effort. Legible. Clear enough to read. Lingual. Technical one relating to the tongue. Liquidate. Close a business and sell what it owns in order to pay its debts. Livable. Worth living. Lowercase. Small letters as opposed to capitals. Lusty. Healthy and strong, vigorous. Malnourished. Suffering from lack of food or of the right foods. Manna. In the Bible, the substance miraculously supplied as food to the Israelites in the wilderness, Book of Exodus, chapter 16. Microcosm. A thing seen as a miniature representation of something much larger. Multifaceted. Having many facets or aspects. Multiplicity. A large number or variety. Old. Mock old-fashioned, attractively old-fashioned, quaint. Oregano. A sweet-smelling plant whose leaves are used as an herb in cooking. Parliamentarian. A member of parliament who is experienced in parliamentary procedures and debates. Passable. Just good enough to be accepted. Peeve. Annoy or irritate someone. Perishable. Likely to rot quickly. Photojournalist. A person who uses photographs to tell a news story. Politburo. The chief policy-making committee of a communist party, especially that of the former Soviet Union. Polystyrene. A light synthetic material used especially as packaging. Pontiff. The Pope. Pretender. A person who claims to have a right to a title or position. Proletarian. Relating to workers or working class people. Prong. Each of two or more projecting pointed parts on a fork or other article. Prosthesis. An artificial body part. Prosthetics. Artificial body parts. Puny. Physically small and weak. Quilted. Made of 2 layers of cloth filled with padding. Radium. A reactive, radioactive metallic chemical element. Rancid. Of fatty or oily foods, stale and smelling or tasting unpleasant. Reassess. Consider or assess someone or something again, in the light of new or different factors. Rediscover. Discover something forgotten or ignored again. Reorganize. Change the way in which something is organized. Royalist. A person who supports the principle of rule by a king or queen. Shilling. The basic unit of money of Austria. Sculpt. Make a sculpture of someone or something. Sizzle. Of food, make a hissing sound when frying or roasting. Sloop. A type of sailboat with one mast. Spotter. USU. Squint. Look at someone or something with partly closed eyes. Terrify. Make someone feel terror. Thrall. The state of being in another's power. Throng. A large, densely packed crowd. Togetherness. The state of being close to another person or other people. Tongs. A tool with 2 movable 1374 tonsillectomy arms that are joined at one end, used for picking up and holding things. Trite. Unoriginal and dull because of overuse. Undamaged. Not harmed or damaged. Verily. Old use truly, certainly. Wadi. In Arabic-speaking countries, a valley, ravine, or channel that is dry except in the rainy season. Wallow. Roll around or lie in mud or shallow water. Washroom. A room with washing and toilet facilities. Wily. Using cunning or crafty methods to gain an advantage. Workhouse. Historical, in the UK, a public institution in which poor people received food and lodging in return for work,